All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 6 of the Imris Saga. We are back again. This time, our full cast got Sean in tow, ready to go.
We
We didn't
found
mean
him.
for that to rhyme. But so last session, our party did battle with a small horde of demons um, in order to free Iracondis, the Shimmering Scholar. Sean's getting spoiled here. After a tense fight, you guys were able to successfully defeat the Horned Devil, which was keeping the dragon, uh, trapped somehow in this sort of ritual. The dragon obliterated them with their breath weapon, at which point you guys all kind of recuperated, rested, began inquiring about the book and about various other personal matters, which Iracondis was more than happy to help you out with. You were also rewarded for your efforts. And we're gonna hop back in. The last thing that we ended on was Will doing a sending spell. Or Will was about to do a sending spell. Jack, do you want to read the spell out so that the audience, or not the spell, but the message?
That means that I have to find it.
On
I was
that
like,
part out.
I'll never need to find this again. Yeah, so Will, upon like pulling the thread of magic in her brain, that kind of she suddenly begins to understand the way that sending would work because of Eric Hondas talking about it and stuff, and like her already pre-existing knowledge, and she just thinks of Cala, and then on this wave of like salt water, this message instantly transmits, and it's a saved Aracondis from a horde of demons, getting help with the book, Toralus and such, all safe in Karad, also learned sending.
Okay. And as you start to get the message back in your head, we're going to hop over to Alveron and Cala. You, Alveron, this, as an audience, we're not sure when this is happening in relation to the message, but you have been going to the library with Cala, just kind of keeping them company, keeping on watch out, trying to avoid making a big scene or anything like that. And on your way back from the library one day, as everything seems normal, you spot a man that you haven't seen in some time. This is just with your passive perception that you're noticing this. Standing in Temple Square near to the Temple of Mordain is Vernal, who you know to be kind of the head of the swords, informally, of course, aboard the Blackened Sky. So this is sort of the almost sword master of the ship, you could say. And he's standing around with a couple unsavory types, which you have not seen before. Vernal himself is a human man. You've known him for a long time. He's like a mean cuss. He was, one of the favorites of the new captain, and so he was kind of given a higher position after the mutiny. But it seems clear that they're looking for something. They're keeping a very close eye out. The other two are one's a human, one's a dwarf, dressed in mercenary garb. They're kind of cloaked up, but you can tell that they have like weapons on, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Kala has not picked up on this, or if she has, she doesn't think anything of it at the moment.
Gotcha. The path we're walking, will it take us right past them?
Yeah, they're hanging around the entrance, the main entrance. And also kind of like scoping out the back sides a little bit.
I'll as we're walking, I'll kind of just move up a little bit closer to her and calmly but surreptitiously just a few of my old friends seem to be waiting for us at the gate. Seem like unsavory folk from a ship I did not sail on willingly.
You're kind
How
of,
long has she and I been traveling together at this point? This is like 3 or 4 days in.
yeah, and then you had been, so you've, I mean, 10, 12 days you've known Cala now, almost. Maybe not quite
Okay.
that long, but yeah, something like that. Over,
Something like
well
that. At this
over
point,
a couple weeks. Yeah.
how open has she been with me about anything to do with her life and past beyond what we talked about, like openly in session? I don't need details
Sure.
necessarily right now. Just like how, like, has it been like a bodyguard relationship only, or have there been moments of like talking about her relationship with her mentors and her instructors and her teachers?
Why don't you go ahead and roll me just unmodified charisma roll? It's
Okay.
like kind of reaction roll type thing. 15. Okay. They remain to you a little bit guarded, but I think if you've been sharing details about like your past, it's possible that you've already told them. You've mentioned the ship before, etc. They would have
Yeah.
told you a little bit about themselves as well. So you know that they had a pretty rough upbringing. They grew up in ROMs, but didn't have any parents, kind of thing. They wouldn't. I don't think they would have told you their master's name yet, but you know a little bit more about that relationship.
Gotcha. In that case, then I probably the level of detail I would have gone to was I was forced to serve aboard a ship that I did not agree with and that I did not choose, and I would have allowed that subtlety to fill in. I would not have directly said I was a pirate for however many years,
Right.
but I was what's the word? Not drafted. There's another
Press
word
ganged
for it.
or
Yes, press ganged essentially. I was press ganged into service on a ship I did not choose.
okay.
And whatever conclusions they would have drawn from that. So then in this conversation, I believe they're probably looking for me from that ship as we're walking towards the entrance.
I thought you
What
were
would you
supposed
like
to be
to do?
protecting me from my old friends, not the other way around.
Faith loves irony, doesn't she? Is there a back door to the temple we can get through, or I guess we're still walking, so like we're coming up on
Yeah,
the front door, just like
you
okay,
haven't broke your pace for fear of standing out too much.
yeah.
There is a back door you could get to, but you are in a spot where they could see you. So if any strange deviations might tip them off. If you want to try to go for the back door and kind of stealth away, you can make me a stealth check. And we lost somebody's camera.
I mean, if I did the stealth thing, it would be hard to take both of us at the same time. Potentially, is there a way with either deception or all right, we're in Temple Square. Are there
Kala will also say, she'll say, I can disguise myself. Although if it's you we're worried about, that's a bit trickier. I could make you
they wouldn't
invisible.
should make me invisible?
Not.
They won't recognize you, so disguising me it wouldn't be helpful. But I look around. Is there anything I see? Is there a horse I could startle, or some loot, some let's see, like some merchant stall that I could like unloosen something real quick and cause a spill and use that as a distraction to get us
Sure.
around. Something like that.
If you spend your point of inspiration, I will say that there is a conveniently placed for fun, I will say a conveniently placed cabbage merchant whose cart you could easily knock over.
That is too good of an opportunity to pass up. Of course, I will spend inspiration on a my cabbages moment.
All right.
No hesitation.
All right. You kind of quickly look about. Did you want her to cast invisibility on you then, or no?
Yes, so we'll use the cover of that so that she can actually work the components of the spell then, and I don't feel like I'll be able to avoid it because they must know where we are and they must know that I'm here. But this, at the very least, will give us more time to prepare. So I'll let's say that like one of the stands for the cabbage stand, one of the pegs, I see that it's loose and not in the ground properly, and I'll just kick out with my foot as we go past. We'll go to an alley real quick to have her cast, and then as the poor man is freaking out, we'll make our way to the temple.
This gnomish cabbage merchant you'll kind of knock over his cart. My cabbages! As you dart into the alleyway, Cala begins casting invisibility, and you feel like you're yourself until it's a little bit awkward at first because you also can't see your own body, so you kind of have to figure that out. But after a moment or two, you exit again and continue walking. You can see a small crowd has formed. Everybody's kind of picking up cabbages to try to help this poor cabbage man out. Cala looks at the man, but keeps walking with you beside. It's pretty crowded, so you don't really have too much trouble stealthing past them. You know, there's enough noise; they're not really gonna be able to spot you unless they got incredibly lucky, which they don't. So you are able to get up to the doors and open them, shut them. Seemingly safe inside.
All right, I'll have stayed behind her the whole time. It's just like one hand or one finger like resting on like the upper top of her shoulders, so she always knows that I'm right behind her as we move. Once we're inside, if she takes the invisibility off, like now that we're inside, now that I'm not in front of them, like kind of the mask drops a little bit. Now, like I look shaken a bit more.
So,
and
why were your friends looking for you? What's going on?
When I was forced to be aboard the ship that I was, I had the same job as our friend out there as a swordsman and enforcer for the ship. As you might tell, I was good at my job, and when I left, it was not with the consent of those above me. Now it seems they're picking up rumors on where I am. I didn't expect them to look for me this hard, to be quite honest. There's no reason for them to have stuck about in any port but the one they were in, and we're a little bit far away from now.
It is a
So
little
the only
bit
motivation I
strange.
can think of is vengeance. But I didn't kill anybody when I left. I didn't take anything when I left. I took myself and another sailor.
So you've told me that you were forced to work the ship, but why exactly did you choose to leave when you did? I don't think you've explained that.
Have you ever worked for a bad man before?
It's kind of like
not an unkind man, a bad man.
Yes, I have.
That's why I left.
Do not. Well, if it's anything like some of the bad men that I've worked for, you might just be an example.
That I might be.
She will kind of like lean over to one of the stained glass windows and try to peek out. Obviously, it's mostly opaque as opposed to see through. But she's like look out for a moment. Well, it doesn't seem like they're going anywhere, so we're going to have to think of a way to deal with this, unless we plan on being trapped until the others return.
So, Vernal, this is just from my experience. I know he's the head swordsman above the ship. How much does he outclass me?
So he's recently come into this position, as because he supported the captain. Your kind of old trainer died in the mutiny along with the previous captain. You fought with him before. He's better than you, although you have certainly improved in the last couple months, doing your mercenary work and such. But it would be probably close, you think, between the two of you in a fair
Got
fight, anyways.
Fair fight between pirates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that he is mean and he does not like to fight fair.
Of course. Do I know any tactics of his? Having fought with him and against him in the past, pocket sand, anything of the like.
Yeah, he favors a rapier and dagger kind of technique. He's not afraid to throw his dagger to trip you up. He's not afraid to use whatever he's got on him. Knock you down, throw you around, spit in your eye. Whatever he can do. Okay. He's not known to carry pocket sand, but he wouldn't be above it.
Right. Okay. I'll kind of mull that over and talk with her a little bit. I guess I'll ask. You and I have fought together before, Cala. Is there, if it comes to it, and I hope it doesn't, I'm hoping we can just avoid them. But if we can't, do you have any way, any protections, any charms, any? Alveron really does not understand magic very well. He's still thinking of like amulets and gildings and other like half-conceived notions of magic. He doesn't really understand how protection or buffs could work.
He will look you over for a minute, I think, says, well, I could cast a spell. You're familiar with mage armor. It would be more protective than your leather.
Mechanically, do they stack or no?
They don't stack. It would replace it, but it would be better. It would, in fact, be 2 better than your current AC.
Interesting.
Because you are just wearing normal leather, which is 11 plus dex. This would be 13 plus dex.
Gotcha. How many rounds does it last?
I think a minute.
Isn't it like hours?
8 hours.
I'm pretty sure
it lasts
it's 8
forever.
hours.
So say,
Oh.
say it will last certainly long enough for us to go about our business. The rest of my spells are more for myself or to deal damage. I'm not really a abjurer in that sense.
I understand enough of that to fumble my way through it. My only other question, since you know the area better, is how will the constabulary react if you and I were to be attacked and we were to kill 3 armed men right outside the temple. I don't want to cause any more trouble for you than I have to.
Not kindly, but I'm not overly attached to Garad if we need to leave. It seemed a safe spot, but if that's no longer the case, then perhaps we should have moved on with the others. I'm not sure how much more research I could do here anyway. Not without more. Well, if my master were here, perhaps I could get access to better restricted sections of the library, but I think I've come close to exhausting what I can learn there about the book.
Then let's leave tonight. We'll try to slip past them under cover of darkness. Before we leave, you put a sending on me that gives me the protection you talked about. And then
We could
we'll
make
do
our
best
way.
to pick them up.
I don't know how far the others are, but we could make our way to Forum. We know they went through there. Just wait. I imagine that they'll be if they're only 3 days ahead of us, so I think we should have more than enough time to get there and wait for them. Assuming that these fellows don't follow us.
Well, if they don't see us leave, they won't follow us.
Nods.
If they do see us leave, and I kind of look meaningfully at my sword, I'll do my best to make sure they don't follow.
Fair enough.
You should get some sleep then. Let's leave after 12th bell.
Good. I can. It's concentration.
No.
Visibility. No. Surprisingly. Kind of strange. Oh no, it is concentration. Okay. You'd say I can turn you invisible again. If I think that will be good.
We'll see when we come to when it's time to abscond.
Okay. The two of you go to your rooms. Cala will rest up. Take a long rest in order to regain her. Yeah, she's only missing one spell slot, but she wants to regain it just in case.
Yeah.
She'll say, we should probably say goodbye to Meeple. We're going to be leaving.
Yeah. Because he's also been just kind of feeding us and taking care of this entire time too, hasn't he?
Yeah. And as of yet has not asked for any compensation that you're aware of.
Gotcha. So before we leave then, would Meeple be up late at night?
Probably. He seems to keep odd hours.
All right. If that's the case then, kind of make our way to Meeple with maybe an offering prepared, a donation to the temple.
Okay.
Just kind of as thanks for hosting us and keeping us safe. Andrew, what would you think is fair for both of us to offer in donation for the time we've spent here?
Oh, I mean, yeah, 50 gold would not be seen as like a cheap offering for all of the time and money spent housing and feeding the. It's been only two of you for a little bit, but there was, several people that they were feeding for about a week.
Gotcha. So like 25 a piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cala is
I can
happy
make
to
that.
pay all of it.
No, I'll pay at least my share.
Okay.
Pay the 25 out of it.
You will find him and he seems to have almost like a little apartment in the temple. So he's got like this little living room, study nook that he's in. You find him in next to a fireplace. He's got some what appear to be reading spectacles on. They're sort of these half circle glasses. I'll like look up and say, "Oh, where are you going? What's all this about?"
It seems people will have to be heading out tonight. Remnant of our past is caught up with at least me, but we've got most of what we came here for, and we wanted to thank you for your generosity and for the security you've been able to offer us. Slide the pouch across.
I'll take it. But it's very kind of you. I'm sorry that you couldn't stay the whole time. Is there anything I could do to help you out of this situation? Maybe some spells? Like, I could cast yeah, I could make you both harder to hit.
Any sort of protection you could offer for the night would be wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. He will cast Death Ward on both of you. Concentration. So the first time you would drop to 0 hit points, you will instead drop to 1.
Ooh, that's helpful.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. How long does that last for?
That lasts for 8 hours.
Okay.
The 4th level spell. And then he'll say, wait, hold on, I can do this too. And he'll cast, this one will only last for a little bit, so if you're gonna run into a fight, I guess do it now. Right. And he'll quickly cast Shield of Faith on the two of you. I don't believe it is. Oh no. He'll cast Shield of Faith on Alveron.
Alright.
Okay. You have spelled up at the moment. And are planning on heading out. How are you going to approach this?
Well, shit. I'm a duelist. I can't just kill him and like sneak up on him. I can't. Like, and he was my first, and he was another first sword, so I can't do that at all. If I can leave without attracting their attention, I should. Otherwise, it's going to be a fight. It has to be. There's just no other way to do it. So we'll try to leave out the. So can we scope out from like the windows on the second floor and look around? Do we see these three loitering around the temple?
Yes, although the two other figures seem to have switched out with different ones.
Oh, the two companions have switched out, but
yes,
Vernal is
still there, but the two companions, there seem to be two different ones this time. Where the original two went, they might be off resting somewhere, but they're not in sight.
Gotcha, but that does let us know that there's at least a rotating bunch of them. It's not just 3 people. Shit.
There's at least 5 people in this group, including Bruno.
At least. Okay. That's. All right. Cool. What part, like what are towards the front, towards the back, one of the two sides, what part of the temple are they hanging out?
Vernal is hanging out near the entrance. The other two are kind of like in the wings. So they're a little spread out, but they're, not more than 100 feet away from each other at any given point. And they're kind of trying to keep an eye out on as much of the building as they can.
Is Vernal the type who would want to handle this personally, or is it going to be one of those I get into a fight with him and his buddies try and stick me in the back?
He doesn't like you in particular, but if he feels like he's losing, they'll definitely hop in. He's not afraid to call for backup. He doesn't have that much honor in him, but he'll try to kill you by himself first if he can, or capture you, as the case may be. You're not sure what they're looking for here.
Okay. Yeah, peace isn't an option here. Alveron's like moral guidance of don't kill unless it's necessary. Like this is necessary. Not going to be easy to sneak out, especially with my job being to protect Cala. So I'll kind of turn to Cala and say, keep the other two off my back. And
I can certainly do that.
I'll go up to the front door. Weapon drawn. And I'll open the front door.
Okay.
And just ask, is there any way we can handle this peacefully, Vernal?
Vernal, as you're opening the door, he's kind of like on the steps, looking out, and he turns around to look at you. Kind of grizzled, almost veteran's face, like really rough beard, wearing a bandana. Turn and look at you. Not likely. Captain walks back. I'm supposed to bring you. Shouldn't have ran. You certainly shouldn't have taken that boy with you. 2 mistakes.
The boy just wanted to go home.
No one gets to go home. That's the way this works. Thought you would have known that.
You're planning to die on that ship.
Oh, why? Drunk as hell, too. Where else am I gonna go? Gonna go work as a farmer?
Of all the gold that we keep stealing, and that we held on to. If your plan is just to die drunk and alone on the ship.
That's all I got. Nothing else for me.
Nothing else for them either?
And glances at the other two. Them, they're just in it for the coin. Mercenaries. The captain couldn't afford to send everybody out. Well, they'll keep an eye out for you. Even if you get past me, the seas won't be safe for you, Bucky.
Seas never were safe on the blackened sky, Vernal.
Maybe for some.
Let's go into the courtyard. I don't want to spill any blood on temple grounds.
He'll back up a few steps. It's the dead of night, so this place is empty. Apart from there, it's decently patrolled, so their guards may come by as this is happening. There's a chance of that.
Okay.
Although duels aren't explicitly forbidden, so.
Okay. As we're walking, as he steps back into the courtyard and I step forward into it, Hex. I don't think I consciously cast it. I still don't think I'm consciously casting Hex, not yet.
Okay.
But he is my dueling partner, and it is cast. I cast it. Whether I know it's what I'm doing or not at this point yet, I still haven't figured out, but it is cast on him.
I'm just pulling out the token for all of the. I guess I'll block out.
Yes, I will. Oh, I have to apply it. Am I right with Foundry? I have to apply the hex damage and whatever else each time.
You could do it as an effect if you like, but otherwise, yeah, you have to roll it each time.
Okay. I'm not sure how to apply it as an effect.
Yeah, I could show you how to do that later.
Okay.
For now, I'm just going to put you and Alveron in. Or not you and Alveron. Vernell and Alveron into the turnover.
Okay. Do I need to roll initiative, or is that only?
Yes, we're gonna
Yeah.
do initiative as you guys are getting up. So I've opened up the combat tracker, or I've put you in the combat tracker, so you can go ahead and roll there.
Okay. I'm just not seeing the. Oh, now I do see it. Okay. I see us all down there. Where is the combat tracker on here?
It's if you go to the top right. I forgot, it's been a while. It's the little fist. You can click on that,
There we
and
go.
you can right click on it to pop it out.
Jesus.
Oh, he rolled bad.
Well, oh, that's it.
Why are they decimals?
It breaks
Yeah.
tiles.
Oh, gotcha.
That's your dex modifier. Oh, your dex bonus.
Okay. All right. So I guess I go first then, huh?
Yes, so you will act first.
Okay. We're right there. Right in. We're this is a duel. Where's my character marker?
So he will like as you are getting out. I'm just using your picture as your token, quote unquote, for this. If you need it, I can drag out your token too if you want.
No, it's all right. I just wanted to make sure that everything would work if it wasn't out.
Yeah.
All right, and then my AC is 17 now instead of 15 because of the Shield of Faith, right?
It would be 19 in this case because I assumed Cala was casting Mage Armor on you before you left.
Oh, well. Perfect then. Absolutely. If those are both going on, excellent then. Okay.
You've been buffed.
Yeah, gonna need that. I'm pretty frickin' sure here. All right.
Do you stand we'll say 20 feet away from each other, a good amount of paces as Vernell begins to draw their weapons. But you react first. What are you doing?
I'm absolutely closing the distance. Once I am on him, making my first attack. Sneak attack should update itself, right? And
yes, it should update. It should be the same though. It won't go up till 5th level.
No, it shouldn't go up until 5th, and I'm still 4th. Okay,
so
once I close the distance, and it is a duel, but this is a fight to the death. I do not plan to leave him alive. Absolutely no question to me. So, rapier attack first. Oof, not my best damage, but
it does hit though.
I need to hit.
Yes.
All right, and that is with Hex.
Yes, Hex and sneak attack. So,
yep.
Do another 2d6 after that. Okay, 15 points of damage.
Yep.
Okay. You dart in. At this point in time, the mercenaries have walked over. This probably happened, when you guys were squaring up. The mercenaries walked over, kind of rushing over at first. And Vernell, waves a hand, to be I'm going to fight one-on-one. Cala, obviously, it's hanging back, but is kind of watching the other two, waiting for when things change, whenever the situation alters. You dart in and immediately score a hit. He tries to block it with parry it with the dagger, so that he can then riposte, but you get him in the side still, tearing a pretty nasty wound out. Although he still looks like he's got quite a bit of fight left in him.
Gotcha. When I land the hit, it's just I'm not disengaging, but narratively it is settling back and being ready for what he has prepared next. Because I know he fights mobile, and I know he doesn't fight fair.
Okay. So you see him go to make a strike at you with the rapier in his hand, and you fall for it. He feints at you, giving himself advantage on his next attack, which he takes, trying to stab at you with this dagger. Oh, critting you.
Shit.
This is not good. Okay.
Okay. Total damage is 12.
No.
Oh.
Total damage is 23. As he gets the sneak attack on that hit as well. So as bad a blow.
He's another swash. He's another swashbuckler.
He's a form of rogue. He's not PC stats, but yeah, he does have sneak attack once per turn. As much as you just hurt him, he hurts you slightly worse as he faints and then just drives the dagger into your side immediately. You go gasping for breath as you think you might have punctured your lung or something like that.
Of course. All right.
Yep, he'll say, "Oh, you've gotten better. Won't help you." And then it's back around to your turn. You guys are kind of locked in this moment. Cala, is looking like, do I need to step in now? As you are visibly wounded by this, but is hanging back until you either give a signal or drop.
Yep. I guess. Ooh. Well. Oh shoot. Hold on. I want to check something. Roguish Audacity. What is the? I just want to look at cunning action real quick. Was that something that could have helped me?
If you were at
No, it
5th
would not have.
level,
Okay,
you could have
because
cunning dodged.
uncanny dodge
Yeah,
is what I'm.
uncanny dodge.
Uncanny dodge is what I'm thinking of. All right, never mind.
Excellent.
In
After
that
this
case,
fight, you'll
after this
learn
fight,
that.
presuming there is an after this
Yeah.
fight, because that was barbarous. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have really another option there, except to continue this and hit him again.
You do have Death
All
Ward
right.
up, so we'll just remember, unless he kills you outright with a hit, you will.
Yeah.
Even if you drop to 0, you'll be at 1.
I'll be at 1, and I can possibly do a Misty Step to get out of this. So I will remember that. But all right. So I will then. Is there for 5e mechanically? Is there like a called hit or an attempt to increase your damage, like a called shot? Is that a mechanic?
No, it's not. There's, a Great Weapon Master kind of is that, but not innately. I would probably say that if you want to, I'll let you take disadvantage, and if you hit, it will be a crit on your weapons damage dice. So you'll double your weapons damage dice, but not sneak attack, not hex or anything like that.
I don't think it's worth the risk of losing the hit.
I don't want to make it too good of an option, but it comes up a lot.
Right. No. And I'm not trying to cheap on. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the mechanics. All right. Then just rapier attack. Dead on again. Let's see. Fuck. I don't think that'll hit.
No, he definitely blocks that.
All right. Let's see if I survive this next hit.
Okay. You're done for, as he going to go in this time first with the dagger, but you parry it away. He's, however, going to follow up with his rapier,
Yeah.
scoring a hit on you.
Yep.
I'm not going to bother rolling sneak attack. So that does bring you down to 1. He hits you, and he hits you in such a way that you know, or you feel like normally this would be it. It manages to pass through the mage armor. You're not able to stop it in time, and it tags you going deep. But it doesn't seem to hit the vitals quite right. Whatever magic Meeple cast on you seems to have prevented you from dying from this blow. But he's kind of acting like he's won at this point, even though you are still up. He to any observer that should have been a death blow.
Only thing to do is try to run away at this point. But there's no running away. There's only running like into the temple. Yeah. I don't need to use the disengage action because if I use Misty Step, I can just teleport myself 30 feet away. I don't know if this will deceive them or trick them or anything, but if he lands that final blow and he thinks it's a killing blow, could I roll deception and die? Well, I don't know how much he would believe it, but essentially make it look like I disappeared into a puff of smoke and make it seem like he doesn't see where I reappear if I use Misty Step into the temple. Because we never said the door was shut. So I should still be able to go 30 feet from where I am into the temple. Because we were only, what you said, 20, 25 feet away from the temple steps?
I think realistically you would be a little bit too far to Misty Step in. As you walked out into the square.
Okay.
But you could certainly Misty Step away. If you wanted to try to feign death, that would be an option.
I will then try to Misty Step. Let's see if I can. Is there a dark alley? I appreciate the idea of like getting behind him, but if he lands another blow, it's not going to be this guy is obviously way too good for me to engage with. Even
he's hurt.
I already have sneak attack.
He is hurt. I will say. You did do a number on it.
Not hurt enough. All right, so I'm down to 1 hit point.
Yeah, that crit hurt you. It really did.
Yeah, that crit was not good, bro, as they say. Yeah, Cala uses wish. Wouldn't that be just a thing?
Yeah, seeing you ostensibly look like you just died, Cala is going to do something, but it's your turn still, so you will get an action off.
I could all right, if I use my bonus action to Misty Step behind him and try to attack on his back, what mechanically would that do?
I would let you make a I think it would be a stealth check. I would let you make a stealth check to try to do it in such a way that you'd be caught by surprise. So you'd be making a stealth check to try to get him into a state of surprise, basically. He thinks you're dead or dying. Otherwise, normally, like, if he were still like, oh, combat's going on, even jumping behind him wouldn't necessarily do anything. He would just flip around. But since you look like you are dying, I'll let you make a stealth check to try to do it surreptitiously.
Then I'll do the stealth check, Misty Step, type thing to try and get an additional element of surprise for this turn.
Okay. You appear behind him. Go ahead and make an attack roll with advantage, since you did succeed.
All right. So how do I make it do with advantage?
You can shift click. Shift click.
Woofing woof.
Wow. Okay. You appear behind him, and you're. I mean, he's caught off guard. He's not aware. You go to plunge in, and just at the last moment, he twists just right that it like glances off of one of the studs on his leather armor, out of the way. He goes, "Oh, that was a nice try." I think at this point, Cala is going to enter into. He rolled great. Probably not the other two though, because they think that Vernal is winning. So they don't think they need to enter in yet. Vernal is going to go. He turns around and seeing you, like, you're kind of like leaning, you're on 1 HP, you're at death's door. He's gonna turn and like hold his rapier up at you, and he's going to. I'm gonna roll intimidation just because you don't have to abide by this. 14. Okay. He's just gonna hold his rapier out at you and say, "Just drop the sword. They said I'd get a bonus if you came back alive. You don't have to die yet." I'll just give you a moment to try to to surrender. Essentially, he feels like he's got you completely beaten.
Definitely just smiling at him through bloody teeth. There's no way.
Okay, he is going to ready an action to attack you if something happens.
Okay.
Cala is then going to go. Cala says, "Alveron, let's just get out of here," and is going to cast Shadow Blade as a bonus action and chuck it in, or attempt to chuck it in Vernal's back. And again, this is actually a sort of, I should rename the spell. It's actually a sort of almost crystalline blade of light. Oh, no, that doesn't roll the attack roll. It's really. Forgot about that. Oh, yeah. She beans him in the back. 23. Okay. Yeah, she summons this crystalline blade, throws at him, and he kind of goes, "Ah!" as it hits him in the back. He is now looking wounded.
Shit.
But the other two seem like they're going to enter into combat soon. It's your turn. I said if something happens, really I meant if you did anything, so he's not going to get his attack.
Gotcha.
Unless you do something.
I can disengage without an opportunity attack.
So he will still get his reaction attack on you.
Right. And at that point, I might as well. Here's the thing: if I'm going to get attacked anyways, I might as well just try to end it so we can't pursue. Right? Am I understanding what you're saying? No matter what I do, he's going to make an attack.
Yeah, because he readied the attack action, and if you misty stepped, I probably wouldn't give it to him, but you're out of that.
Yeah. That's the one and done with it. So yeah, then at that point, I might as well just attack.
Okay.
Because otherwise I'm foobar. So, all right.
19. That does hit.
Okay.
Go ahead, roll sneak attack and hex. Oh,
Hex.
that's not right.
It's not letting me roll it. What is it? Just an additional d6?
It's a d8 for hex, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, a d6. So just roll 3d6, and we know one of those is necrotic.
Yeah.
It's this random human is vulnerable to necrotic.
Yeah.
Man, that's a pretty good roll.
Pretty good. Okay. No. Cala's blade distracts him for just long enough that you are able to. It's kind of a 1-2. She like hits him in the back, and he like and like glances to the side, and you immediately like ram him somewhere where he's dead. So you can describe his death.
It would just be if it went into his heart, or sorry, if it went into his back, and he turned, Jack. If he turned himself as if to look at her over his left shoulder or over his right shoulder, exposing his heart on this side, just right there through the side, right through the rib cage right here then. As he's looking over his right shoulder to pick up whatever new target is there, Cala, I'm going right between the ribs, right here.
You can't run forever. He dies. The other two at this point, this would be Vernal's turn, but that's he's dead. But the other two are going to enter into combat as well.
Oh boy.
The skirmisher is going to pull out a bow and take a shot at Cala.
Oh, Jesus.
Kidding. Cala now has an arrow in her side. And then it's her turn. She's going to dart over to you, moving her full movement. And she's going to cast invisibility on you. I don't think you can take another hit like that.
I don't think I can take any hits after that.
Cast invisibility on you. We need to get out of here.
Am I moving? No, there's no attrition component to 5e.
No, you still have your normal.
All right. All right. Just immediately hand up on her shoulders right here. It's just following you.
Nuts. She will. Can't do that. Yeah, she's gonna get ready to move, but she's pulled out now her rapier or saber.
Okay.
This mage fellow is going to go. He cannot see you, so he's going to magic missile Cala.
Damn, they
As
got
he
an
shouts,
evil
"Stop
magi.
her! Don't let them get away!" She gets beamed. I hate multiplies it. I like it to roll the dice, but that's fine. I'll just roll real quick. So she actually only takes 10. Okay. It is then your turn.
Nothing I can do to like
They're
heal
not
myself.
particularly near you, I should say. They're both standing about 60 feet away at this point on different sides, but
Okay. I mean, that works fine for me. I know if I take any sort of attack action, I stop being invisible, right?
correct, yeah. But up until that point, you would be invisible.
Right. I'm really not built for anything. Could I use deception or stealth to try to make it seem like to try to help us lose them in one of the alleyways or in one of the side streets? Make it seem as if we're going one direction when we're really going the other?
Yeah, if you wanted to, I would accept either of those. Depends on how you want to do it. You're invisible at the moment, so I mean, I guess you could try to like, I don't know, chuck a rock at something to make it look like you're going one way and then go another way.
I was thinking that I could like cast off either like I have my traveling cloak. Like the traveling
Yeah.
cloak is invisible until I take it off, and then throw it down one side alley and make it seem like it got caught on, like as I'm walking, take the traveling cloak off, hook it on a stall or a wall, and tear it a little bit like it got torn off of me, and then go the opposite direction.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's still a stealth check.
Okay.
It would probably be like stealth plus int, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. 19. Okay. Do you? I'm just gonna say you're gonna move bonus action to dash. To just try to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Do dead. This person will get a shot off before Cala. But luckily they miss. And immediately after that, Cala is flying out after you. Moving. Not quite as quickly as you, but quicker than most folk.
Okay.
I'll have her make a skill check as well. But yeah, crushed it.
Oh, damn, Cala.
Expertise plus 10. You guys both start to fly away. You can hear them behind you. One of them shouts, I think they've gone this way. But they dart down where you've just tossed your cloak as opposed to off where you've actually gone. You can also hear at some point the clattering of armor, like the kind that the city guards might wear. There's been a stabbing.
Yep.
But we will exit combat. You have successfully fled. Both you and Cal looking quite injured at this point.
What do you mean now I'm a criminal? What do you mean now?
He was always a criminal. You just didn't know.
Also, that's less of a murder than any of the murders Uber's committed. Like,
Yeah, that.
Right.
Oh man.
You and Calla will quickly and quietly as possible exit the city, taking at first the overland route to avoid the docks. If you think it might be a good idea. I'm also going to swap us over to the campaign map. Hopefully that didn't take forever to load again. Keep meaning to double check why that's happening. I guess just because it's a big image, but my other campaign doesn't seem to take as long. You all navigate. Okay. The two of you make your way out of Grod, taking the land route along the lake, and then the next morning picking up passage, heading downriver. You will be on the boat to Forum, which will take a couple days, in which you rest, recuperate. You can probably heal back up to full. Yeah, just go ahead and heal yourself back up to full. You also level for that. Make yourself at 5 to be at parity with everybody else.
Nearly getting killed is great experience.
It is great experience, yeah. Nearly getting killed. After at some point on the second day that you're traveling, so this would be like the 5th day that everybody's gone. You will hear, or Cala will say to you as you're probably as you're disembarking at Forum. Cala will say, yeah, because it would be morning. Yeah, we'll say, Alveron, Will just messaged me, I guess, with a sending spell. Apparently, the dragon was attacked by demons. And Will, you will get a response that I should have written this out. Like I said, couldn't really. It will say,
it's just 25 words.
We were found by some friends of Alveron's. Had to fight, escaped from the city in Forum. 8 words. Are you all okay? Question mark. Question mark. Question mark.
Sure. Will does not have a spell slot left to respond to that.
Okay.
But the next day.
So you all
had to check in with my
but
friends.
you all get this reply. Or well, Will does anyways.
Will takes like 20 seconds to try and work out whether or not that meant that they were in Forum and had been chased out of Forum, but then is smart enough to, I think, piece together that means they are in Forum.
Mm-hmm. You will also get a reply from your father that says he doesn't know how the spell works, so he's just like, "Oh,
he just starts talking.
How are you doing this? That's amazing. Yeah, your mom and I are fine. The chickens are doing well." And it just cuts off like mid sentence on a word.
Will appreciates hearing her father's voice regardless, and really the important information was the first sentence. And
I need to
everything
figure
after
out
that was
what
just bonus.
his voice sounds like, because I feel like I'm gonna have to do this more than once.
Hey, I didn't give him a name yet, so.
I like the voice he did though. Wow, the chickens are doing great. Wow.
It's just Owen Wilson.
He's a
Wow.
wow. As well, to be fair.
Where?
Also, they don't own chickens. Will's like, why did they buy chickens? They're a baker and a blacksmith. What did chickens do for that?
Eggs for the flour. I don't know.
Eggs for the flour.
Eggs for the sword.
Expressly a brioche. She only bakes enriched doughs and stuff.
Yes.
With eggs in them. Yeah. So we'll appear to the party. And say, well, it seems like Cala and Alveron are in Forum. Something about meeting some friends of Alveron. I'm not sure really how tone comes across in sending, but they didn't seem to be real friends, given that they had fought them. But we could head back to Forum whenever, I suppose.
I imagine it would be best to head back as soon as possible to meet up with them.
Will nods. Unless is the dragon nearby?
Yeah, maybe you're also kind of staying right there.
I'll say, unless Aracondas, you can do some kind of dragonly magic and put us a bit closer to Forum, save us some time, keep those demons off your back and all.
Dragonly magic. I can get you out of the maze much more quickly than you came in.
Also useful.
Beyond that, unless I were to fly you there, which, no offense, sounds like a bad time to me.
Sure.
No, I don't have teleportation magics of my own. Although I could give you a scroll of teleportation if it's that urgent.
Sure, I'll take a scroll of teleportation. Suspect I can't use it, but at some point it might be useful.
Correct. And we'll
So
go
looks
and
at everybody else. It's like,
go and grab a
also,
scroll of teleport.
wait, if you have some kind of magical sword or something, our friend Alveron is looking after Tortolus's apprentice and is a part of this, and any aid you can give to him will also keep the demons away from you.
Well, fair enough. I will see what I have in my stores.
Sulveran is going to
just a
shift
sword, a
extremely.
long sword, a great sword.
No, I think a rapier is what I remember. Will knows for sure that it's a rapier, but for some reason it's.
I think I could conjure up something, and they'll still in the humanoid form, like kind of almost glide into their treasure room, their lair proper.
God, Aracondas was in a human form.
Yeah, they look like a beautiful human woman. Sort of bronze skin, flecked emerald scales here and there. And the dress is like flowy, almost in such a way that like when their arms are up, it looks like wing kind of thing. Like it's very trailing kind of dress. They will go and return. And they'll come out. They have a long wooden box, a sort of where you would keep like a weapon or something like that, as well as a scroll. They will hand the scroll to Will and say, "Here you go. Those things are quite rare, so do be careful with that. Don't waste it. Although I trust that you wouldn't do such a thing. Here is a sword that your friend Ron might find suitable."
Did you have occasion to read through the scroll he had sent for you?
I did. I, as Andrew, still don't know what was written.
Sure, but we will have a response to it.
Yes.
To whatever was written in that scroll.
Why don't we just, Sean, maybe you could tell me, what did Alveron write in the scroll to the dragon?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I wanted to message you about it, but I couldn't.
Shit. Hold on. I have my notes.
I don't remember if we talked about it. If we did, I forgot.
We didn't. Shit. So I have person who can help us who's hard to reach is the dragon. What is Irascendis?
Iracondis,
Scholar. Yeah. Iracondis, yeah.
You handed a Will a scroll and were like, "You can read it if you want." They didn't.
Yeah, Will doesn't open people's mail.
And this was a letter. God, I wrote this down somewhere on one of my notes.
You wanted to ask them something, but I don't know.
Oh, this was my question for Iracondis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was my understanding.
Gotcha. I think what was on the scroll was why can't I keep away from the sea?
Oh, okay. Interesting. Right. They will have written a reply and hand it to Will.
Will takes it without really looking even remotely at it being handed as they read the scroll of teleportation and say to the others, I actually think I could cast this. But it would probably have to wait till tomorrow, and maybe I'd fail at it, in which case we'd just waste it. But it would be much quicker.
They will. Ericon will also turn and wave a hand, and a bunch of some trees in this cave will sort of almost vanish out, and you see an entryway that leads out, sort of seemingly quicker exit. If there's anything else, please let me know. Any other burning questions in your souls?
What language
So-
do the Vegapygmy speak?
They speak their own language. I could, given time, teach you. It is a sort of kabadada, kabadu, kabadada. Sounds like
If I find myself
was not here for this.
If I find myself with the time to dedicate to learning the nonsense language of a race of plant zombies, I'll return and take you up on that.
They're quite playful. And of course, it helps that I am unaffected by the fungi.
Do you have any books that could teach the language at a basic level?
There are no books written on Vegapygmy, as each tribe speaks it slightly differently.
Sulveran has been shifting awkwardly back and forth, looking like he's trying to figure out how to barter. Bartering is not his strong suit. So he is going to stalk forward and Scholar, I am grateful for your gifts. I would like, and he kind of glances around because he has only now realized that he can do this as of waking up that morning. I would like to know what I might offer you in trade for a single diamond, of the sort I might hold to channel the energy of the soul, the recently fallen.
This for what? Revivify?
Oh yeah.
Which apparently is going to be super important to us.
Do you want to know what you could trade for that?
Yeah. Sulveran is assuming that would be something that he would need to offer something else up for.
Yeah. They have given you a lot. Well, I will, of course, for my saviors, take an equivalent amount of gold. Such diamonds that you might.
How much is it worth?
300 is what you need, according to this.
Will
Diamonds worth 300 GP.
Will is still reading the teleport scroll, but at the same time reaches into her coat and unstraps her scimitar and tosses it to Sulveran.
Sulveran is going to catch that, kind of startled. Don't you need this?
Will raises a quizzical eyebrow and says, I bought it thinking that I probably would, but I don't know that I'd know what to do with it if it really came up anyway, so I might be better off dealing with things, creates a light rainbow of prestidigitation. It is a +1 scimitar. It's not a cheap scimitar.
Sulveran is going to hold that up, and he's going to pull his purse out, and he's counted it all multiple times, but he still kind of glances to make sure that he has it right, and he's 48 gold, 1 electrum, 46 copper pieces, and he holds up the scimitar. Still kind of glancing back over his shoulder at Will as he offers it.
Sword for life. Very amusing. I'll accept this trade. They'll like snatch up the scimitar, seemingly banishing it to their horde, and with the other hand, conjure up a sizable diamond that would be perfect for using Revivify.
Before we leave, I guess here.
Sorry, what was that?
I'd also like to ask the dragon, do you have something we could take with us that we could use to communicate with us if the demons come after you again, and aid would be useful? Or if we could communicate to you if we learn more about them?
Well, I believe that your friend there can communicate with me in a limited manner whenever they wish. I, of course, can reach out to you in my own way if I need.
Will nods. It's relatively convenient now.
They nod.
Would you like to be updated on what we find out on this?
You have things to tell me. I am always willing to trade. I have many valuable possessions, as you well know, and have some of which you have come to own yourselves now. But I am always willing to trade things for rare knowledge, rare artifacts, things that you might not find useful, but I certainly could be interested in.
Things that have a or
Do not.
Well, it seems that perhaps time is more of the essence than we thought it was, so maybe we should just head to the exit of the maze. If we really need to teleport, I can do it tomorrow. I need to make sure something with Cala before I do it.
it might be useful to have it in an emergency in the future too.
Will's eyes are like, she's probably read the scroll 4 times, but there's like something else clicking around in the back of her head about like an understanding of how scrolls work and things like that. So she is maybe paying only 70% to what everybody else is doing, but you're right. It probably is good to have as a little backup for if we ever do need to get anywhere quickly. And she pockets it and says, but we should get ready to leave.
Sulveran has been like carefully putting this diamond away and muttering his gratitude to the dragon, and he has no idea. Like, whenever Will says, "Get ready to leave," he just starts following, kind of like unconsciously down that trail.
Lydia will offer Sulveran a place on top of the elk.
Sulveran stares at that elk and then at the and then at Uba
We
and then
forgot
back at the elk.
We forgot to, in the interlude, teach Pelagon how to ride a horse.
We didn't have the time. We just don't have the time. A dragon can probably teach him how to ride a horse.
Pelagon will, as you guys are leaving, walk over, carrying the reins of the horse, like leading it over, and to Sulveran will say in Gathite, I hope, brother, that you and your companions find easier roads than the ones that we have been on. Thank you for helping me when other kinsmen might have put me down, as it would have been right to do so.
Sulveran stands watching him for a long moment. I think that gratitude is better offered to my companions. He gestures, mostly indicating Will and Medea, not Uba. Here, stand a
Lars.
moment. Let me take a look at you. And he wants to. So he has, as of having slept, woken with the understanding that he has a little bit more familiarity with curses than he previously had. And he wants to look him over with the awareness of medicine, what he's seen with Pelagon so far, and his understanding of the spell remove curse
Mhm.
to see if there's anything more that he can offer.
Yes. With remove curse, I will allow you to. This is kind of going to work like a counterspell or a dispel magic. The curse is of a higher level than you could remove automatically, but you can go ahead and make a roll. It's going to be basically a flat wisdom roll against the DC of the curse.
Did Sulveran make it obvious this was happening?
Sulveran is standing with Pelagon, and he's talking in Gathite, and he's not particularly quiet about it. And he is kind of like he was kind of like walking around him, kind of feeling his head, checking his stance, the kind of things you would do if you were giving somebody a backwoods medical check.
All right. Will kind of, because it's Gathite, like she hears Gathite above all other languages from when she was learning stuff, and kind of looks over and says, "I think the magic that affects Pelagon is potentially removable if you use this incantation, and I'll give you bardic inspiration because it does work on those checks."
It's an ability check.
Sulveran is going to nod and take a deep breath, and he's going to he is taking his time with this. He brings Pelagon over and has him sit, and after far more time than it should take, he just reaches out and places his fingertips over like across his brow, with his thumb like on one end of the brow and his small finger on the other side of the brow. And you said just a straight wisdom plus 6, or are you at 8 now?
Plus D8.
Okay. When you say straight wisdom, do you mean no modifiers for wisdom?
It's just your wisdom bonus, no proficiency, none of that. Not a skill check. It's just the wisdom ability check.
Modifier?
Yeah, so your normal modifier.
Okay, got it.
If you just click where it says whiz on your sheet, it'll do the right roll. Okay, 12.
Then
Go ahead and roll the D8.
No!
No. That's not enough.
This is not
It
meant to
makes
be.
sense that the dragon is required for removing this curse.
Yes. It could. There was a chance you could roll high enough, certainly. Especially with the bardic inspiration. You spend a moment, you prepare yourself, you focus on Pelagon. He's removed but the helmet that Medea gifted him, and is kind of holding it, and you concentrate on it, and you have an internal struggle. You feel yourself almost, your magic comes up against a wall. It's this sort of inky blackness tinged with red, this sort of almost rage feeling that's coming out as this almost crimson color. And you push against it with your magic. The divine powers granted you by Mordain kind of attempts to wrestle with it in your head. But the wall just beats you back. It thumps out like a heartbeat, and you are kind of shoved away. And you maybe even recoil a little bit physically, like not taking it back. It does seem like he's affected by quite a powerful curse. I'll say one healer, a helpful gnomish man in town whose name I can no longer remember, to do, I think, something similar, and he told me that it could not be done.
As he's saying that, Sulveran is kind of baring his teeth. Does he get the sense that if he tried again, he'd get the same result, or does he get the sense that he could attempt it again?
You could attempt it again, certainly. You know it's going to be difficult. It's going to stretch your abilities.
All right.
And you can do this one more time because it does take a spell.
Yeah, I only have 2 spell slots. He is going to he's going to call Will over, and he is going to ask her to repeat the incantation and carefully for him. And he's holding on to his shield with the Mordane's focus, with his knuckles kind of popping out above the flesh, kind of thing.
I think Will walks back over and like directs the entirety of her attention to the curse and like how that would work and things like that. And I don't think I can help with the thing anyway, so all I can do is give bardic inspiration. But she does recite what she would use as as like the particular wording against the curse, and I'll give you bardic inspiration a second time, I suppose. Now we have no third level spell slots in our party, and I've lost 2 uses of bardic inspiration.
And he is going to take a moment and also say a quiet prayer, and it's in Gathite, and so will probably notice that it's again one of those prayers that's like not quite ritualistic. On guidance, it counts as one willing creature. You can cast guidance on yourself, right? I am a willing creature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
here we go again, y'all.
Back in the mods. Let me add Pelagon's token.
All right.
While you're doing that, Uba is just standing behind Sulveran with like a hand on their dagger just in case shit goes south.
I also was thinking about that. I really feel like this is going to be a natural one.
Yeah,
I know,
Uba's ready to throw hands.
Yeah.
Will reaches for the non-existent weapon that they have.
Yeah, Sulveran actually probably sees Uba since he's so focused on this, and he is going to give Uba a very like short, sharp, like approving nod. Holy shit! Every time.
Wow.
Hey, just roll a 4 and 8, and it defeats every spell that exists. You only need to roll 9 to beat every spell that exists.
You say, but
Anyway, unless it was a level 9 spell, you failed. You passed. It was wish.
I'm not doing it exactly like a counterspell, just so we're not doing it like quite level stuff. I also don't particularly like the way counterspell is balanced. But you summon everything that you possibly can, every trick, Will's help, you focus, and you are abutted again by this wall. It's slams against you, but Will's words kind of echo in your head, that this incantation, this help, and just the barest glimmer you feel from Mordain pushes you over the edge, and you at first feel a sort of almost crack in the wall, a large, as it starts to break here, there, until you have piece in your mind's eye, pieces of glass kind of filter fall down around you, glimmering. And you sense behind this a presence, almost overwhelming. Can you make me a wisdom saving throw?
Oh, I should have thought of this.
Nat 20. There you go.
Right.
Excellent.
What?
You are
Where was that?
you are unshaken by this, but you can feel eyes looking at you. A fiery
Sulveran is
name
snarling at
behind
it. Like
them.
in the real world, he is snarling.
You all see Sulveran like mean faced,
Well,
almost ferally growling.
that's almost certainly not a good thing.
But you hold firm, and the presence fades. Pelagon kind of blinks for a moment, and even before Sulveran kind of breaks from their reverie, says, "I think it has been done. I think that I'm free." At which point, Sulveran, you kind of come to.
Yeah, Sulveran is just going to shift from where he had been just like a flat-footed crouch on the ground in front of where he'd had Pelagon sit. He's just gonna lean forward onto his hands on his knees and swallow once, and then just kind of stand and tell Uba, "You won't be needing that."
Uva looks slightly disappointed, but puts the dagger away.
If there is it fine, by the way, if during long rest I gave Pelagon the basics of horse riding.
Sure, we don't. I mean, he's not going to learn it in a day, but that
Like
master.
that-
But
like
he
the very
understands
basics of, like,
like
how to-
how a horse works and how you're supposed to ride it. He's also quite large for the horse, so it's like a full-grown
Are you-
man riding a like a pony.
How you start a horse, the ignition
yeah.
sequence for a horse, these kind of things you've taught.
What to do, how to make it stop, how to make it how to handle
How to
the
follow.
reins, etc.
Can I make an insight or
what
arcana
he needs
check?
to do to care for it, what it eats.
Can I like write him a note, like a small like pamphlet?
Sure, that's fine. Yes, you can make a. What did you want to arcana check, Will?
I want to know what Will can surmise about Sulveran snarling at something within the dispelling of that curse.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Arcana fine or
Arcana
something
works, I
else?
think, for this. Yeah. I don't think you know enough to make a different check. Although
23.
certainly
It's the best time I
religion
rolled my
could
new
be an
dice.
option. And Sulveran, if you would like to, you
20.
could make a religion check. Yeah, Will, your guess is that man, just 2 crits in a row, why don't you? Let me do
You
Will's
made me
first.
use 2 uses of Bardic Inspiration.
Just failure, ultimate success. Often, some creatures, particularly powerful creatures on particularly powerful curses, will leave an imprint on the person or object that is cursed that can often be. It's almost like an after effect, a shadow, if you will, of their presence, their magical abilities. And that sometimes breaking curses can be dangerous in and of itself if it's a particularly powerful curse. It can try to transfer itself or have a secondary effect on the spellcaster who is trying to end the effect, which may have been what was happening there. Although it seems that Sulveran is fine after they've kind of ended this. They must have shaken it off, whatever this effect might be, or overwhelmed the spell. One of those two things.
Could the person or creature or entity that cast the spell in the first place learn the location of the person from which it had been purged?
You don't think so, although certainly a powerful enough creature or spellcaster would probably sense the curse being broken. They would probably have a sort of not that they're concentrating on it, but that they have like a feeling of it. It's certainly possible.
All right. Well, that doesn't seem to be an immediate danger. So happy to move on.
Sulveran, you are as you're thinking about this creature, its presence, its the evilness of it. You can tell it's a demon, and it is of the same kind, if perhaps the same one that your clan encountered at one point. You are not familiar with its name, although you know what your people have come to call it, and that it is quite powerful enough that your clan wasn't able to really drive it off. It more left on its own accord. But you know what it looks like, and you're able to, even from just feeling its presence, know that it was the same kind of creature.
Sulveran is going to stand for a moment, almost moving a little bit behind and to the side of Will, just breathing carefully, and then he's going to step back into Pelagon's space, and despite the fact that he has just removed a curse from him, is fairly harsh. All right, your trade is this. I need to know where that was cast upon you, how, and why you are still alive.
He kind of thinks for a moment, like peeling back layers of memory, and says, I had traveled south many days. This was after I had left the mountains for the first time. To seek out fortune, and I was coming back now from my journeys. Near the summit of Galmador, I had thought to see the wreckage of the Shadow Dragon. The top. Not many people ever dare to go there, for it is said still to have some lingering curse. And I thought that perhaps my misfortune was caused by that. It was there I encountered a creature. It, I thought, was evil, and I attempted to do battle with it, but it seemed only to toy with me. I did not speak the language it spoke, but I understood one thing. It said a few words to me in our own tongue. It said that it enjoyed my rage, that I should multiply it. I thought that I had driven it off after that, although later I think that I realized it had simply left. It was...
You are a fool. You became the tool of its destruction. A being of fire and flame?
Not at first. It appeared to me as a humanoid creature with almost like a man, but different. Blackened eyes, ashy almost, hooded and cloaked. Then after it angered me, once we did battle, it seemed to grow and change into something like you have described. Large, with a sword of flame, a whip of lightning, clouded in smoke.
Sulveran's just going to, at that point, nod and step back a little. He is going to turn and look at the rest and then say, you said time was short?
Yeah, I'm pretty, like an hour ago when you started thinking about this kind of stuff.
Sulveran nods and he heads towards the exit. No other words, just walks away from him.
Video will pat the back of the elf if they want, and then otherwise follow.
Was gonna mutter "good riddance" under their breath and walk away.
Will falls
Turned
into
against Paladin
step.
so quickly. Everybody.
Will didn't turn against Paladin. But Will falls into step beside Uber and says, "You know how you found that dagger?
Ubun says yes.
Can I have my rapier back?"
Sure, Uva gives you your rapier back.
Great. Will like reattaches this massive downgrade, both in terms of cost and like usage, but well, I'll probably never use it, but it does feel a little bit better to have it.
Yeah, I think we end with kind of a backward shot into the tunnel of Pelagon, just like kind of looking down at his large fist, like curling it closed, and hand that drops. And I think that's going to be a good spot to take a quick break.
Great.
About that time. We say 10 minutes. Take the dog out.
This is the first time I won't have to eat an entire meal in 10 minutes.
I will still be eating some cake when we come back, most likely.
Which I had some
Right?
cake.
Like,
Okay.
I don't have to
Alright.
eat a whole meal, but I might try anyway.
We will see you in 10 minutes. We'll be right.
But you'd already
Right, and we're back. Hello, everybody. All right, so after finishing up with Iraconus, the four of you continue on exiting out. You come out. Eventually, this path leads you out near to where the entrance is, and you arrive there. Much quicker than it took to get in. It took you, a day and a half, almost 2 full days to get there. It takes you a couple hours to get out. And you begin making your way down out of the mountains, heading towards Forum. Alveron, you and Cala arrive at Forum, kind of looking about. Eventually, find yourself inn to stay at. I'm just gonna make a quick roll because it'll be funny if you choose the same inn as the others did. I'll roll this up quick. So it's just 50-50. I guess it's close. 10 and up you do, 9 and below you don't. Okay, 10 up. You find yourself staying at the Sunken Acre, a dockside inn and tavern that mostly is river folk, sailors, merchants, travelers like yourself. They have on the menu a specialty drink known as the Rust Bucket that you can order. Cala will choose to just have some wine.
Weak.
Do they have like a picture of Will having drunk 3 rust buckets or something?
They certainly
I think
don't.
someone painted a portrait of Will to go on a wall
Yeah.
of like the rust bucket.
I hope so.
Like the rust bucket victors,
I missed so much. Oh my
You did.
god.
You did. You don't even know
Literal
this whole bit.
bucket of garbage liquor.
I will be back one.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, Will was still like feeling pretty funky about the whole like traveling with a group of unapologetic murderers, leaving behind the one person who kind of came close to Will in terms of want to kill, and then drank
the other room.
3 rust buckets, which are full buckets of just like collected.
Will
Liquor.
was just 20% assorted liquor.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you tried
Lord.
breathalyzer, it would overload and like stack overflow back to 0.
Just a priest who has a cantrip that's breathalyze.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's a good idea for a cantrip. Do you stay there? You spend some time there. For the others, you do rest a day in the wilderness. Waking up the next morning. We're going through this real quickly. Will, did you want to sending anybody first thing in the morning, or do you want to wait till you get to town? You'll get there probably mid-afternoon or so.
I'm typically going to not do sending until like the last thing before a long rest.
The end of the day.
And only if I have the spell slots.
Okay, cool. So the 4 of you eventually make your way down into Forum. You hadn't discussed where Cala and Alveron were. So you guys kind of are looking about. You've come over the bridge, so you're not particularly near the docks at the moment.
There's
you're
2
not too far
taverns
away
here,
from
right?
them. No, there's a handful. There's like 6 or so.
Alright, well, I'll just cast sending and be like, yo, where you at? But in fantasy terms. No, we'll send sending to Cala saying, just arrived in Forum. Where are you? Not dead. One hopes. Did you remember to bring my coat?
Yeah, she took everything, I suppose she'll say. Oh, we are currently staying at the, what's this place called? Alveron? There's like there's a brief
She
pause.
in the middle of the sending.
Yeah, there's a
asks the
brief
question,
pause.
What's this place called?
And then she'll reply, the sunken anchor near the docks. It's the first place we saw.
Will says to the others, "You'll never guess where they're staying," and starts walking towards the sunken.
6 feet deep.
Yeah, they're
Wouldn't
dead,
bet
and
this-
Cala managed to respond to me in ascending that they had died.
Sulveran is going to stop and echo 6 feet deep.
Euphemism for when you're dead.
How deep you have to bury humans for
That-
a reason that Will probably knows, but I don't want to get into.
Oh, although
That is
you
not custom.
should not suffer to bury any spellcaster less than 10 feet deep.
Will walks away from the discussion about how deep you should bury people in the middle of a populous village.
Yeah, crowded town. You all head over towards the sunken anchor. You find Alveron. You see the others walk in, looking somewhat road weary. As you and Cala are kind of sitting, you've found a nice corner that you've been hanging out at for the most part while you've been staying here. But the others are led by Will, as you kind of see Cala look up from reading a book. Not the book, but a book. As the others file in. They have gotten a table that's big enough for all of you. So Cala will kind of gesture. Come, sit. See what you've exchanged, I guess, what has occurred to both of us.
And Will walk across, and in doing that, signal to the bartender for a rust bucket. Like, is it possible that Will could make just like a gesture that is like clearly bring me a rust bucket?
Make a performance
Particularly if it was the
check.
same one.
Try to communicate this quickly and accurately without saying anything.
Just points to
20.
her face.
Okay, yeah. The bartender looks at you and is like, okay, and begins to prepare a rust bucket as you see them kind of just plopping in whatever.
I don't want to watch them make it.
The audience
I don't
sees
wanna
them
watch
plopping
it.
in all the bottles that are almost empty, but not empty enough for them to really want it to throw it away yet. They're like, till eventually you are brought out a rust bucket.
If it's relevant for Sean, by the way, Medea does have their hair out now. Instead of wearing the helmet, has a mask on.
Oh,
Yes, it's
okay.
true.
Their hair. They're perfectly normal hair.
That's definitely not moss.
It's mostly normal hair. There's still a lot
Yeah,
of
it
it.
just
Mostly.
grows
There's
moss
only
on
some
it.
of it.
You sit down. Hello. Look at that.
I'll sit down next to Cala if there's a spot of it.
Yeah, I mean the table's open except for Alveron's probably also sitting next to her, but
Will
leaves
smiles
the
at them
other
both and
Did you manage to almost die again overall? Or I suppose just almost die.
I wouldn't say I managed to almost die. I'd say I managed to die and had a spell keep me here. What about the rest of you?
This says same.
But
I raise a drink at Uba.
Uba seems very
Sulveran also lifts his drink. And as he's lifting his drink to this toast for having almost died, he very telegraphs the motion of him looking around to Alveron's hip and says, I see you have not yet sold your sword.
So
but the world
Alveron not ready for that
just like
honest laugh.
just a pure silence from Will.
So
I'm tired of these
Will,
people.
Well, no, you can, because didn't we get Alveron a gift from the dragon? I suppose you asked.
Yeah, Will has sat down for like 10 seconds and maybe would have waited longer to retrieve things, but does pull out the return sealed scroll and the long wooden box and just passes them across to Alveron and says, we were bestowed upon various gifts and things, and well, payment for saving the life of a dragon. And I thought it unfair that you would miss out on such a reward when you were also serving an important purpose. Although I did hear about your friends. You're
Yes.
both alive, which is important.
Will your friends be coming to us in the town as well?
At least not one of them. He shouldn't be making any appearances.
You talked him down.
I sold him my sword.
Alex like shakes her head now. At this point in time, a large bucket
Cala,
is
do you
placed in
have
front of Will.
Will had just placed her forehead on the table of like exhaustion, but when the bucket appears, we'll like pull a tankard out and drink it as she did her second rust bucket, slowly as it's sipping liqueur.
Alveron looks upon this with a mixture of amazement, horror, and just stupefied.
Will
What-
offers you
Cala.
some if you like.
I can smell it from where I'm sitting, right?
Oh yeah, it's just it's
Yeah.
straight liquor, like a bucket
Excellent.
of just liquor.
I motion for a flagon. I will
Will got
skim
this as
some
a
off the
table
top.
rust bucket as opposed to
Oh,
rust
okay.
buckets.
No.
Uba's probably gonna drink some of the rust bucket too. I don't know if it's a good idea, but they're just gonna scoop out a little bit.
Hints of elderberry, whiskey, some kind of sweet rain liqueur, almost like a vodka type thing. With just a splash of dark beer.
So it smells like garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like something.
It tastes
Uh,
like a just wash of flavors.
Uba's gonna gag a little bit, but keep drinking.
Cala, do you have my half the 50? Do you have my 50 gold? I asked you to keep until we met again.
Oh yes. So kind of like wasn't expecting that. Kind of reaches down and pulls out coin from her purse and just like surreptitiously slides it over. Try to not make a big scene in the bar.
Group is very bookkeeping forward at this reunion. What says? So we talked to Aracondas about Toralus and some other things that we all wanted to look into. Where did I write these things?
Good question.
Oh, Aracondas thought that it was likely that Toralus had been taken to a place under the mountains, an old fortress called Hercantor, but that he was alive, which is good.
He also apparently told me that in the future I should head to the sea. Certainly will be there.
We all learned some various things about stuff that we wanted to know.
Can I make
Good.
a history check, by the way? The magician.
What?
Can I make a history check on Powerless now that I know their name?
I think we already did that. I'm almost positive that you rolled previously because the dragon said the name.
No, I think I rolled history to tell who, like very early on, if I could figure out who it was.
I mean, you're not going to learn anything more from history check that Will hasn't kind of already explained, anyways. But I thought we had you roll again. I'll have to go back and double check. That's the benefit of having these in video form.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will does. I'm pretty sure Will gave the general overview of like, this is Toralus, if you were to read in a book about Toralus.
So, I assume we're not going to go straight for where Toralus held guns blazing.
He kind of sighs and says, well, no. There aren't very many people who could even... I can only think of one that I'm aware of who could take you to Harkantor, who knows the deep passages well enough. Maybe I'm sure there are others. I just don't know any others by name. I imagine it would be quite dangerous. Just gonna sighs. No, I think we'll need more time. But it's good to hear that he's still alive.
Well, what do you we do next?
Kind of like her body, like as she sighs out, it's like so much just weight is gone. Even though she's been resting here for a full day, it looks like the marathon has ended for her finally. She says, I'm really not sure. What did you learn anything else? I think I've done some more thinking, some more reading. There is somebody who we could take the book to, and I could be reasonably assured it's going to be as safe as it could possibly be.
Who, where?
Well, I'm sure you're aware, and you now know Torlus's name. I've only met Milfindian once, but if we brought the book to him, he would keep it safe, surely. There's anybody more powerful than my master, then it certainly would be him. Of course, we would have to go to Talanfagon for that. It's a bit of a journey, although I'm sure not so long as any of you aren't accustomed to. From there, once the book is safe...
And the caravan run.
Sorry, what was that?
I know the routes from the caravan who run to Alveron from here. If we need transportation, I'm sure I could negotiate something more discreet with a former colleague.
That would be good. I would take the river route, but if you know overland route, that might be a little more surreptitious.
Overland in the desert. If you're looking to hide a bit.
Once the book is in better hands, I think I would be more comfortable thinking about going after Toralus. But I've only really paid you to seek out the dragon, so I understand if you all want to move on at this point or have other business. Alveron, I know that you, you might want to not go to Talanfagon if you're avoiding ports. Although I don't know much. I only know a little about what you've told me about your situation. And from what Vernil said, but I'm also, although I am getting low on funds, willing to help you in whatever, or any of you in whatever endeavors that you might be looking into after having spoken to the dragon, the scholar.
Do you know of any
I think
allies?
being with friends, I feel a lot more comfortable in port than rather than just trying to strike it out on my lonesome into mainland. So, if we're all still together, I'm all right with that.
Well,
Perhaps,
I will gestures for Medea to go ahead.
perhaps if we can get to Melfindian, and they'll take the book. Maybe Melfindian can to the cause of dealing with this. After all, if they're capturing powerful spellcasters, I'm happy to continue along this route. Dragons told me that I need to know as well this path, so I will stay.
Yes, Melfindian is very powerful, but very, very, very old. I doubt he would ever leave his tower again. So outside of a safe house to store the book, I'm not sure how much help he would be. I'm not sure he can leave these days. Anybody? Because I know you know the name, but anybody who wants to now can make me a history check on Melfindian. Now that we're kind of talking about him and your brains are percolating. Oh, Will just crushed it.
Yeah,
Rolling a 20.
just 27. I always critical to know about characters I already know about.
I know, right? These rolls that Jack, it's helpful. Then
I don't know that much about Melfindian. I think
you don't actually. No,
like
you didn't ask a lot.
in passing, Elsa met him.
Okay. Melfindian, aka Melf, of Melf's Acid Arrow and all the other Melf spells, is an Elkaran arcanist, a wizard, who is some centuries old, said to be born around shortly after or around the time of the Blight. So 900 odd years old. Was kind of like one of the adventurers to kind of start moving things back on like a good path. So they're famous. They've done a lot. In the past couple of centuries, they've quote unquote retired. So mostly just they kind of kept to themselves. Not a lot have interesting things. There's not a lot of recent stories about Melfindian did this and that. All the stories are like older, like 500 years ago he like single-handedly killed the red dragon of such and such. The fire heart that was coming down to try to plunder Lislaman and this and that. But these days, it's supposed to be ancient. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, him? Isn't he dead?" kind of thing. But he still writes, lots of different books. He's known to be kind of aloof but very friendly. But probably the most famous arcanist of his era. Certainly the most famous adventurer of the sort of post-Blight, the early post-Blight period. That like, first 400 or so years. And he has a tower in Talantagon that is his home. That for the most part you can't enter into. Even the Suthana, even the Suthan himself cannot simply go into Melfindian's home uninvited.
With a 23, would I know if he'd be willing to at least like financially or like give resources or vouch if we brought the book and told him about what we were dealing with?
He certainly might be. Always been, according to the stories and the histories, like altruistic person. And Cala apparently has met him once. So, and there are stories of him like helping out new adventurers, kind of thing. Leading on the next generation. There was a time where he led an adventurers guild. Eventually, he stopped doing that. Just as he got up in age.
Perhaps Melfindian might be a good connection to other resources as well.
So I didn't catch that. Can you say again?
Perhaps Milfindian might be a good connection to other resources. Give us the names or addresses or links to other people who might be of more help and be more willing to. Perhaps give resources or whatnot on the way.
Will sort of nods and says, well, I eventually sort of have need of Torless's services as well. But once we give the book over and see it in safety, what is the goal after that to which we need resources? Saving Torless or whatever our own personal things are?
Presumably saving Tarlis, figuring out what's inciting demons to seemingly warp dragons. These things don't seem unconnected, do they?
Not
A powerful
really.
mage and wizard
Also,
completely.
Will says to Cala and Alveron. Also, we found out that that book could allow people to transform living adult dragons into shadow dragons, which are worse than normal dragons.
The hell's a shadow dragon?
I like kind
Like
of like think
the
so.
dragon that lives behind a normal dragon.
It does make sense with that. I think that helps me to interpret some of these incantations a little bit better. That is troubling. To Alveron, she'll say a shadow dragon is a dragon that has been, I guess, cursed, you could say, by Zaliel. The most famous, of course, is Vorkarshai, the blighter. They breathe a sort of shadow flame that both burns you and your soul. If it kills you in that manner, you're dead. There's no bringing you back. No resurrection magic. Nothing. You are simply gone. As far as the stories say, I've of course never encountered one. That there hasn't been one in at least several hundred years.
That is what we interrupted.
Sounds
Maybe. It from what Araconda said, they were trying to move Araconda somewhere else. I don't know that they were immediately trying to, on the spot, manifest Saliel to create some kind of shadow dragon.
From now that you've given me this information, according to the book, it's as far as I can tell a lengthy process in the matter of weeks or months to fully enact such a ritual. Especially on a fully grown adult dragon like Aracondas.
Above board, like in
Hello.
relation. What?
Go ahead, Joey.
In relation to the like locations we've seen, can you ping the mountain locations for Torless? I know you said Galmador, top of there, and
Yep, that's Galmador. Maybe can't see that. Sorry. Galmador.
Mm-hmm.
And you know Galmador history is through the stream above board a little bit. Galmador was where Vorkarshai, the shadow dragon, the blighter, came out. They tore the top of the mountain off as they were coming out. So it's almost like a volcano kind of caldera going straight through. But there's no magma or anything. It's just a giant hole in the sky. And deep in that area, deep beneath in there, kind of somewhere, is where Harkantor is supposed to be. Somewhere in the kind of that region. But like far deeper than most of the holds that are currently occupied. Talonfagon, of course, I'll just ping this over here. That's one of the Elkaran capitals, the larger of the two. Most people, the more important of the two. You guys are currently here, of course.
Well, what about Sulveran, Uber? Are you likely to keep traveling the path with the rest of us?
Uba kind of nods and says, "Yes, I'm honestly rather enjoying this." They don't mention out loud the fact that mostly what they're enjoying is the loot, but they're definitely enjoying themselves.
Uba's like, I've earned more money doing this in like a week than ever before. Of course, I'm going to stay with you guys.
I have this new dagger and this new dragon talon. It's like all of this stuff.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just gonna say, yeah, Sulveran, if you are to stay, I don't have any more to offer you.
Sulveran just
But
tilts his head at that, clearly not understanding what they mean, but then just shakes his head. This is my path, I'm sure of it.
Well, I
That's
suppose
easy.
it's settled.
And keep both my promises at once. Will kind of looks at the other two and says, "So, other than the 25-word version, how's your time been?"
Cala will look into Alveron.
We ran into someone from a ship I was press gang to serve on a few years back, who, for some reason, had been sent to try to regain me. They've got no reason no reason in my mind to be pursuing me after this much time. I didn't kill anybody when I left. I didn't take anything when I left. I think it's just a matter of personal vengeance and pride on behalf of the captain.
Regain you?
I don't think they expect me to be a crew member again. I think it's to bring me back as an example. And kill me in front of everyone else.
From what Alveron has explained to me, I've run in gangs before. A similar sort of thing, as I imagine. You can't leave not without being punished. That would destroy the system. It's built on fear.
Well, captains that press gang people into service at the best of times, and if they do manage to find you, at least they will find you not lacking a new crew.
Kind of raise my glass to Will at that. Don't say anything out loud, but there is very much a face of total appreciation.
Will smiles and scolds the rest of the flagon of rust bucket.
God.
That truly is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Actually,
Will says, "What about this?" and puts out her hand,
like
and in her hand, prestidigitation's just this single static image of a rat with another rat bursting out of it and another rat bursting out of that.
Take that back. That is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Will
I
close
think
her
the
hand.
rust bucket is still in league for me. I could see the rat being some sort of natural abomination. Perhaps it is a rat that models after another animal that birthed. No god could produce something as disgusting as the rust. only unintervention human creativity.
Will takes that as a
Some would say
compliment.
that is from the gods, but I would have to agree with you in this case.
Let's
Perhaps
not
one of the
get
dark
into what
gods.
gods give us and what they don't.
Well, is there truly nothing that you all would like to do? Of course, I want to rescue my master as quickly as possible, but well, if there's anything that we can gain by doing something for any of you, then I would be willing to give it a shot. I might not travel with you, but he shrugs.
I mean, I left the ship that I was press ganging into, and I found myself here with y'all. I don't have anything overriding right now. I'd rather just travel inland with you.
Why, Will, you think this is the second time you've mentioned it. What do you want to ask Torlis?
Oh, I'm looking for well, my the way you use master to talk about Torlis is not the same way that I will use it to describe Vesta Vale, but she is the person that taught me my bardic skills and magics, and I needed to ask her something about a disease, but now I just kind of want to find her, and she's been missing for a year or so. Aracondas did a scrying on her, and she's in between planes, not really accessible.
That is interesting. Magic beyond me, although well, Melfindian might be able to help. I think they I feel like I've heard that name before. Vesta. But well,
She's a bard. She's like
can't think of it at the moment.
fairly well renowned. Aracondas spoke of her in the same terms as Torlis, Melfindian, and Halfred, which I did not know, but
Well, that would make sense. Most powerful spellcasters are at least aware of each other if they've never met before. I don't think I've had
practically
the pleasure.
enhances my prestige.
True. We ride the coattails of those who teach us, I suppose.
Will thinks about that for a moment, understanding how many people she's taught so many things, and is not sure she's okay with that. But so yeah, I'm looking for Vesta. I'm vaguely looking for the cure for a disease as well, but my mind is very taken with the Vesta aspect of the search.
I can understand that.
If we're looking for allies, I know a few merchants.
Merchants?
A few mercenaries that would be happy to help. Perhaps if they learn the dragon, can muck up their future trade.
Well,
Other than that,
what sort of folk are these? How do you know them?
in Caravaneer days, I would go in between Talon and Fanon, and a number of them and the trade routes that go in between are run by fairly powerful people. Especially the ones that run across the desert have to hire bigger mercenary bands to cross the dangerous lands and be a bit more direct. Even then, if they learned there was a vested interest protecting their lands, perhaps we could get some alliances.
They certainly, it's possible. I know most Caravaneers of that type probably wouldn't want to go gallivanting about underneath mountains or such, but sure.
Financial support, perhaps.
She nods. That is
We-
true. I
What I
am.
think we need is time.
I'm fairly tapped. Other than uh, money for living expenses.
Besides Mofendian, if along the way we
Well,
can alliance,
if we
I think that would be best.
if we need to, been to Talafgan only twice, but I do know that popular for adventurers. If we need we need coin, I'm sure that there are jobs that could be done there.
And if we head to Talanfergon, there's always a chance that we come across something that will boost our own abilities and powers. Much like we found this wealth of weaponry. And Will has been, as always, like taking apart the hurdy-gurdy on the table, but like slots the last piece back into place and then just shimmers her hand across it and becomes like a fiddle. And she starts like plucking on that. So I'm curious as to what Alveron's sword will do. It's got a prettier box than most of the things we got.
It's impressive.
Wait, I have
I
a
didn't come with a box.
sword in the box?
Yeah, I gave
I
you
haven't
the.
opened it
We
yet.
asked for a rapier for you.
Oh!
Just put it on the
I haven't
table.
opened the box yet.
It's you use the rapier, right? It's pretty sure.
I do.
The dragon
Open
offered a
the
great
box.
sword, and I thought that wouldn't work.
I looked down at like the rapier by my side. No.
A great
I look
rapier.
over it.
Now you have an extra one to sell.
I was about
Would you
to
have
say
preferred-
now I can sell this one.
Would you have preferred an extra pair of skivvies?
No, I'd soil them anyways.
I'm sure.
Perhaps they are skivvies of gleaming.
Skivvies of prestidigitation, please.
Isn't that a reason to have another pair?
Oh,
Well, in any case,
I guess I will just add it to the character sheet. Is there anything about it I should be tracking, Andrew? Or-
Yeah. So sorry, I was waiting for you to say I opened the box, and you might have said I missed it. You kind of slide open the box and are presented with a sheathed rapier. It's got a sort of perhaps more elaborate than the one that you have basket hilt that's lattice worked. It looks to the maybe silver, or at least silver, finished, with not really expensive gemstones, but like dotted throughout are crystals, and it shimmers slightly as you like pick it up and move it, just like small like little quartz or something that will catch the light. The blade itself is long, and it's somewhere between like a rapier and like a saber. It's got like a little bit more of a one edge. But the blade itself, as you pick it up, is light and very maneuverable, and it seems to be made out of mithril. You can see that there are runes, not etched, but worked into the blade of the sword. You, of course, have no conception of what these might do, but you, even to your layman's eyes, you know that this is like probably magic.
Gotcha.
The handle itself is wrapped in black leather, and the pommel, which is just a slight one because of course it's got a basket hilt, seems to have a little kind of not quite like a little statue, but it's more of like a stamp at the bottom of what seems to be like an osprey, in flight. Or
Do I have any
some
idea of the
kind of
significance of that?
some kind of hawk.
Okay.
What? Sorry, what was that?
I just asked, do I have any idea of the significance of the osprey / hawk?
You can roll me a history check if you want. It's pretty difficult.
Do not have high hopes here.
Probably the original owner's mark or symbol, but specifically, you have no idea.
Gotcha.
It might also be like just the blacksmith's mark, but again, you're not entirely sure. It's very clearly like somebody's important to the sword, or important to the aesthetics of it because it's prominent enough that anybody like wielding the sword would see it.
We could always have a look at it for you, Alveron, if you needed a second, third, or fourth set of eyes, and like looks at Medea and Cala.
If Medea will also take a second to look at it if offered.
I guess I pass it off to Will, knowing that you're kind of our resident historian. And
In this case, I will help Medea think about the history of it, and then look at it like through an arcane lens. If Cala will help me with that, like the three of us.
Yeah, yeah.
Vaguely.
They're happy to give you advantage.
All right, and I'll give Medea history advantage.
Okay.
Like just a trio of like really, really weird looking, like looking at a regular.
Look here.
Huh.
Look at this.
29.
Wow.
Wow,
Okay.
that was a very helpful advantage, Cala.
Pretty good. Made a big difference.
Yeah.
Cala just points out like one thing that Will completely overlooked because it's not like a thing she'd be looking for.
Cal's like, the runes are different on the other side. It's two sets.
What?
You're actually looking at the wrong side of the sword.
Will's
you're
looking
looking
at
at
her
the
own
top.
rapier for a second. It's like, what?
Medea, so kind of this is something that Alveron just would never pick up on, even though their role was pretty similar. The style of the sword is Elkaran of an earlier period. Typically, they favor Elkar, like historically have favored long swords and stuff like that, as opposed to lighter rapiers. But there was a period where there was a blend of the two, and this is kind of a almost prototypical example of that. Like it's very clear to Medea's trained eyes, especially a lot about like swords, that it's of that particular style. So it's maybe 1,200 years old or so. Very fine craftsmanship. The exact reason for the osprey eludes you.
Would I know if it bears any crest of like an existing forge family of any prominence in the Alcarn area?
You're looking for one. You kind of look for a maker's mark.
They had black, or one of their parents.
Yeah. That's why I'm kind of allowing this sort of thing, giving you that specific kind of information. You go to look for a maker's mark. There doesn't appear to be one. Which tends to you would know tends to be that there's no maker's mark. The person who made it might have wielded it, or it may have come from a one-off set that was very special, something like that.
Yeah, Medea will tell Will and Alveron. It's unusual, but the blade is not old, very old. Even weirder, whoever forged this left.
Will, you would know from this that this is certainly an enchanted blade. Specifically, it's a +1 rapier at the moment. But you're going over kind of like what the runes might mean, what the effects might be. This appears to have a sort of a couple different things going on. Of course, the normal just enchanted +1. It appears to be a in my head I want to say sword of sharpness, but that's a very specific thing. It is so finely crafted that it actually has an increased crit range of 1.
Oh.
You can also tell as you're kind of looking over it, discussing with Cala, like this might mean this might mean that. You kind of both finally settle and agree. This sword probably has you've read about things like this. Uba's dagger has something similar. It has some magic that can only be accessed by trying to think of how to describe this accurately. People of enough skill to like for the blade to actually activate in such a way. It has a layered effect that you don't think Alveron could use at the moment.
Will continues to look over it for a moment and like talks in a low like kind of whisper with Cala, not to exclude other people from the conversation, but mainly because like he's focused on it and like looking really closely, and then nods to Medea's information about the make of the sword and stuff, and puts it back into the sheath and reverse hands it to Alvaro and says, "Well, it's enchanted. It's better than a normal rapier, as you'd expect. I suspect you'll find it easier. It finds the fleshy parts of your enemies easier. You're already, from my memory of watching you fight, pretty good at finding weaknesses. This will make that easier. And as you get more skilled and you use it more and become more refined in your techniques, I think it will get even stronger."
Yeah, and with a 29, I'll tell you, you think that this sword was probably wielded by somebody who had maybe a sorcerer or something like that, or somebody like Alveron who could kind of cast some magic innately, and that that aspect is what would be enhanced or granted, perhaps.
I think it's a well-fitting weapon for one such as yourself.
I take it back kind of just slowly, like looking over it a lot more appreciatively. Thank you for
You
bringing
probably
this.
have to, of course, you probably have to attune to it.
Yes.
So like, sit with it for a while. Uba did it by staring directly at the dagger for most of an hour. You don't have to do that. Just keep it near you for a night.
You just have to really hope. Did you have Uba stare at their dagger for an hour?
Uba chose to stare at the dagger for an hour.
Yeah.
Did you tell them they didn't have to?
Yeah, Will came in at some point and was
Yeah,
like,
they
"You probably
figured
don't
it
need to
out
do that,"
eventually.
but like, that was the start point. Will like cracks her back really like loudly and viscerally and says, "Well, I don't know about you four. Definitely it's 3 or 5. I don't know about you 3, but I could use a bath and maybe some sleeping." And will probably stand up to go look at getting a room, and then turn to Cala and say, "Oh, I also have no money."
Sulveran also just mildly raises his
But
hand. I
Cala
find
owes
myself
me money, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like,
They can put it on. Just have them put it
I
on my
can
tab.
pay for people's rooms.
It's
Great.
fine. Just tell them you're all on my bill.
sure. I think Will takes that to mean that her and Cala are sharing a room again. Like, all right, fine.
just
I
gonna-
would have got my own room, but I have no money.
She's just gonna be like, why are you in here?
Like,
No.
I thought that's what you meant.
But yeah, she'll
During
tell
the
you.
night, can I try and have the bartender send bottles of wine to everyone's room as well?
If you want, yeah. They're
Okay.
don't. The guy says, you break a bottle in that room, I will. You understand me? You will get charged double.
Yes, I understand.
What kind of wine? Like fancy wine, cheap wine, common wine?
Fancy wine, something nice.
Okay. A bottle each to every room?
Yes.
Okay.
And
we're gonna run
Lydia will
you
specify that.
20 gold.
Lydia will ask which one goes to Will specifically to see if they can get a bigger bottle.
Say 25 gold then if you're
The really bad
getting some
image of Will that I don't like.
magnum size bottles of wine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say that if other people are going to bed, that Uba is busy staying up and drunkenly regaling the bartenders with stories of their adventures that are extremely embellished?
All right, go ahead and make a performance check.
A performance check?
Yeah.
And in that case, Sulveran probably noticed that Uba did not go upstairs, recalls the last time he was with Uba at this tavern, and remains sober and downstairs just watching Uba.
Stick around. Uba, there's definitely a crowd around you. They're enjoying the story. Everybody knows that you're I think everybody assumes that the story is made up wholesale as opposed to being embellished. But they listen along and clap appreciatively as they are drunk and easily entertained.
Sounds about right.
Can I, in the town, is this in the afternoon or not?
I mean, we're just jumping around. You got there in the afternoon, but
At some point in town as well, can I have grabbed a set of weaver's tools and a couple of books on that's like a how-to or a starter set learning it?
yeah, you can buy them for standard price.
Okay. How much would the books cost?
You want books on weaving?
Yeah.
Like 5 gold. I mean, it's a book, so it's somewhat expensive, but not crazy.
Yeah.
Probably costs you more than the tools.
Yeah, it's 5 times as much as the tools.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then I'll just spend some gold on having materials, like 4
Okay, yeah, you
gold
just
worth of various
mark down a gold. Some yarn, cotton thread, and whatever. Wool.
Yeah.
Sometime in the night, you all are brought a bottle. I think. Will, do you go up first, or do you?
Will was just gonna go have a bath and come back down later, refreshed. But if Cala's up in the room, Will might spend the time talking to Cala instead.
Okay. Yeah, I think Cala goes up. Not super early. I mean, they probably all have dinner together, but earlier than everybody else. Most everybody else.
Will wants to ask about how reading spells from a spell book versus a scroll versus bardic magic works, and like start to learn the basis of like wizardry.
She will say, as you come in and like drop off all your stuff, and I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. I wasn't aware. I would have worn something nicer. That looks down, still
Okay.
just like pajamas, essentially the medieval equivalent.
What you're writing is fine. Also, if you just given me the money that I didn't take at the start, I would have got my own room. I thought this was what you intended.
I meant that you could order really whatever you wanted, but I'm not going to play.
Right. Explain to me how spell books work.
Well,
I don't need you as
she gives
Andrew
you
to
a
explain
rundown.
to me.
Yeah, I think I'll do it a little bit just for fun. She says,
Yeah.
well, the spell book doesn't really matter actually that much. It's more about the spells contained within. You have to. We often describe old magic as being memorized spells, but clerics don't really do the same thing that wizards do. They're not sitting there actually memorizing the functions of casting a spell. The books serve as guidelines. You hold all that information in an almost extra dimensional space somewhere inside your head that you then release it out of when you actually cast the spell using the various incantations. Scrolls are like this, but set down into the paper. It's fixed on it. It's related, but very different, actually. Bardic magic, you make music and it turns into things. It's much more
Incredibly
freeform.
dismissive nature of bardic music and magic.
Sure.
Will's thinking and says, so as far as I understand it from the brief conversations I had with Vester, a scroll that works upon the magic of the bard I could cast, and she like pulls out the teleport scroll, because eventually I will be able to understand this spell. I could cast it. I couldn't do that with a spell that was more based on the scholarly wizard, for example, or Sulveran's clerical magic.
It depends on the spell. Let me double check because I always forget how scroll layers work. Yeah, it
We
depends on
looked
the.
this up.
Yes, we did, and it does work the way I remembered. I just double check. Well, no, it actually depends on the spell. It's a little strange. Spell scrolls have a sort of the essence of the spell in and of themselves, so that you don't have to expend the energy required to cast it. You only have to be able to kickstart it, in so to speak, to like a spark for a fire. The scroll is the wood. Normally, you would be burning yourself. This is a bad metaphor, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, continue. I like the idea that I'm a flammable creature that I'm burning to cast my spells, and a scroll instead sets fire to that. Sure. Right. And then I think we'll thinks about it for a little while, and then just continues talking to Cala about wizardry versus bardicness in general. Because
yeah, she's very interested. You get the sense that like she knows about bard magic, but like the practical nature of it, it's completely lost to her. She's like really only focused on wizard studies, and you could tell like you probably have been studying magic for equally as long as Cala has. Although her studies are more focused, like I said.
Yeah, Will shows Cala like the flexibility of her magic and like some of the spells that she has adapted because they come easier to her that way than they did instead by like versions.
Right, and she'll.
I don't want to go cast a spell on Sulveran, but
yeah, if she wanted to alter the spell in such a way, like it would be so much more of a convoluted process. You have to essentially like figure out how to cast a new spell as a wizard.
Yeah. Great. That's all I had to do. When I get an entire magnum worth of wine, Will doesn't drink as heavily as I think I have to wait for Sarah to come back for this. Like, but yes, I will. If nothing else, just go knock on Sulveran's door and ask if Sulveran can carry it. Because how would I move that around?
Could be worse. At least it's not a Methuselah
Mask.
or a
Yeah,
Nebuchadnezzar.
yeah.
Where is when is this in the timeline of the night?
Later, I think.
Like-
Midnight.
All right. So I guess the answer to whether or not Sulveran answers depends on what Uba has Uba toppled from the drinking yet.
I think they're close, but now they've switched to stories of their bounty hunting days,
I
and they're
think
very wobbly.
yeah, I think at that wobbly moment, Sulveran waits for a recent kill, and then he is going to just kind of step into this like circle of highly entertained, drunken louts, and clap a hand on Uba's shoulder. And to bed with you now?
Uva looks around at all of the people that have been listening and sighs very heavily and says, I will not. And then before they can finish what they were saying, they just kind of fall off the table they were standing on to tell their story.
Yeah, Sulveran just was waiting for that.
If Will is looking for Sulveran, can Will have come downstairs to see the end of Uber's night?
Sure. Not
Will kind of waits at the stairs.
Yeah.
Looking over at them both.
Yeah, Sulveran just catches Uba rather carefully, not letting any bits hit the hard table, and actually like pauses for a moment and just kind of like weighs Uba in his hands, and then turns to head for the stairwell, sees Will, and just looks down at Uba, looks back up at Will, then tilts his head at the magnum in Will's hands. It's a bit late for that, as you can see.
Alright, I wasn't... It's not open. And Will looks at it and says... Anyway, Will is also, for the first time probably ever, in the time that Sulveran has known Will, not wearing any armor, and like has hair that is actually like freshly washed, and looks far less like an adventurer and far more like somebody that would work at this bar. And says, anyway, I this appeared at my... Do we know it was from Medea? The wine?
No, Medea just asked if it had like a gift ribbon in it.
This appeared at my room, and I don't want to drink it now. I don't know when I will want to drink it, but I also can't carry it. So I was wondering if I could store it in your pack while we traveled. I don't really drink that much. Do people think this is how much I drink? I've drunk rust buckets twice, and some ale. It's like you just drink when you're not about to work, and then when you're working, you don't drink.
Well, I don't drink that much. I just drink a lot then, and then I drink a lot then. You know.
Yeah,
And
I
I
drink a
intend
lot
to
when I'm
drink a
allowed to
lot.
drink.
Sulveran at that probably he opens his mouth and then he shuts it, and he just follows Will up the stairs. I believe my room's on the left. Let me put this one down, and he goes.
It's acceptable in human and presumably all cultures that we're going to be traveling through for a while to sleep in the tap room. You don't need to necessarily be Uba's parent.
Silver like looks down at Uba and then looks back at Will. And with all the baubles that they carry, if somebody who is inclined to take them from them?
And they would learn a very quick lesson about consequence of action, which maybe Uber would need.
Perhaps they would learn how many hands they needed.
Anyway. And Will hands you the puts the magnum on top of Uber in your arms. And then
I feel like
wanders
Uba,
back off.
even though they are unconscious, instinctively just clutches the bottle
Yeah,
it
Uba's
were
clutching the bottle and is like grumbling in Draconic.
Yeah, Sulveran is just gonna like shift Uba and the bottle with his like the heel of his palm kind of supporting the bottle. He's just gonna like shift Uba to a side as he opens the door and just calls out to Will as he's like putting Uba to bed. I will keep that in mind. But it doesn't really sound like he's gonna keep it in mind.
I so want to cast a spell on Sulveran just to none of my spells are not wisdom based, so I won't, but like I so want to.
I mean, above board, I'm cool with that. If you do it enough times before enough long rests, Sulveran will get his just desserts.
I was going to suggest to Sulveran to think about it all night, but that's a horrible thing to do, and I don't think Will would do it. I think Jack would do it. Anyway, Will goes back to talking to Cala, having deposited the bottle of wine. Did Cala also get a bottle of wine?
Yeah.
Is it obvious that they're to different people?
Yes. Yes. Different
Okay.
colored ribbon for different
Great.
people.
Otherwise, Will feel attacked.
This is me like checking the weights of bottles of wine so I can add specific equipment carry weights to my pack.
Ella will, I think, when you get there, will like have poured. Actually, no, they're just drinking out of the bottle, but they kind of like as you enter into the room and say, you know, I'm not actually the biggest fan of this. Could stand to be drier.
Will for a moment. Well, actually, I'll roll. I'll see how much willpower Will has. It's probably not a lot. Yeah, Will like for a moment is like
None.
I don't drink as heavily as people seem to be assuming I drink. But then like kind of holds a hand out to try it from Cala.
We'll like hand it over to you.
Yeah, it's too fancy for Will, probably. Like Will is used to drinking once every like few weeks at like a big port stop and not drinking while on ship.
Yeah.
So she's just like, this is like
Alternating
too
between
fancy.
binging and then not drinking at all.
Yeah, she's like, it wouldn't be my first choice. Of course, I have no concept of where it came from. It could be poisoned and we could both be about to die. Yeah, that's also Will's feeling about this after being attacked for her drinking habits.
It would feel mundane for to get attacked by cultists and then pirates and then just a poisoned bottle of wine. I don't see it.
Sometimes the most subtle ways of dealing with something are the ones that work because of their mundanity. But you're not dead yet, and I'm certainly not dead yet, and I don't feel bad.
I will drink to that.
All right.
As they're talking, and I assume is Alveron down in the tavern as well with them? Sean?
They are talking
We're in our
their
room.
room. So nobody else
Okay.
is there.
Eventually Medea will also come down, and I think like as well as because they're like the first time as well not in their armor completely. Like they still have like gloves and boots on, but they're in relatively normal clothing. And they've got like this like sewing set out and a couple of cloths, and they've got like a book. And they just like kick up next to the table and like are like studying as they attempt to learn it.
I think with that, the night passes. You all eventually retire in your various different ways to sleep, and awake the next morning. In various states of minor intoxication.
I casted Drunken Sending to my ex-fiance.
Okay.
It doesn't say any words. It's just the conversation I'm having with Cala. I start the sending and then it just goes off.
Booty sending.
No, it's definitely not that. Like, it's somebody that will maybe telling Cala about it.
What happens if they're asleep? I wonder. I have to think about this.
Did they get woken up?
They've
Woken up by
Must
Will's voice
do.
in their head. Will's just like talking to Cala about
Will,
like our engagement.
I have to figure out his voice too now, or their voice.
Oh,
I'll figure it out later. I need to think of all these voices now that you have access to sending.
Yeah, this every backstory character I've ever had immediately accessible by sending.
They say, Will, is this another dream? No, don't go. Please stay.
Oh,
oh.
I think Will sobers up a little bit and says to Cala, I might have just... It's fine. That's never going to have repercussions. It's alright.
Will had issues with premature spell casting in the relationship already.
Maybe a second later, it's like, I've got... No.
Yeah,
What's
it stays
happening?
on for 25 words.
Oh, I'll go get some water. That will say, and then it like cuts off.
Well, I wish I hadn't made that choice, but it was very funny.
Yeah. So eventually the night passes. You all wake up the next morning, and it sounds like you begin to get ready for travel. There you certainly could take a caravan or like a carriage to well, I imagine you don't want to go to Porsen because that would be more of the river route. But you at least have to go to Waithcross to get across the river.
Yeah. Medea will suggest going to Waithcross. And are there any smaller towns south of Lamadon?
Towns would be generous. There are farming communities south of Lamadon, a few, but not a lot.
Near the desert.
Even this area is still like really quite arid, so that's not there's not like a ton of farming here. Once
Would there
you get
be
south,
like
it's like
trading?
no, not really. Most people take the river because it's easier. It makes sense.
I think as we're traveling, we'll say to Medea, so my memory of this trip, not that I have done it in this direction, is that it's very quick if you follow the road and the river. You were saying that you wanted to go overland?
Yes. My thing with the river would be that it's extremely popular, and it would be easy for people to get word of where we are if we were to take them. Not just Alveron's friends, but perhaps to Kobold. If we were to go overland, caravans can be a bit more discreet, and they have much more discretion in the route they take.
Unless they already have a way of tracking us, and then we're stuck traveling slower, but with an obvious destination in mind.
True, but if we take a caravan as well, we wouldn't be stuck on a river. And as well, we'd have more discretion in who we're traveling. Depends if you want to risk them knowing our location or not. That was.
I think it depends on how they already are. If they know our location through other means than having somebody currently watching us, they're going to find us no matter which way we go. And I don't know about you, but I would rather fight on a river than in the desert.
Sulveran is going to lean in, as would I.
They could be tracking us perhaps by nothing more than just word of mouth. Like it didn't seem to be able to precisely locate Cala.
If they're tracking us through word of mouth, we can keep ahead of that.
How would you do it?
Well, if they're tracking us through word of mouth, it implies they don't have particularly large magical pools to do things like scrying. In which case, they can't travel from Karad or Forum to Talanvagon faster than we can. So if we stay on the fastest route, which is the road and then the lake and then the river, we will be ahead of them no matter what. If they're following us that way, and we go through Waithcross and then Lamadan and then move down, and they lose track of us there, it is likely we're heading to Talanvagon and they can put people in place there.
That's true. I'm just. Well, you say that we could keep ahead, but perhaps they can't track us directly, but they can send messages to people they have on towns and on the populace.
Cala will say at this
Potentially.
point, well, Uba, what do you think?
Uba takes a moment and thinks and says, I'm not sure how they'll be tracking us or if they're even good trackers, but I think our best option is to move as quickly as we can.
Will
Alveron?
nods.
Mm-hmm. I'd trust Uba on that.
What might our duelists think in this situation? You're a deft hand at running away from pirates, at least. Which would you prefer?
If I have a choice, I'd rather be on the water.
Oh.
I know it better. I'm more comfortable with it, and I agree with Will. I think it'll be faster.
I think we have a quorum then.
Also, sand gets everywhere. It's coarse, it's disgusting.
True. I also wouldn't mind stopping by Salsam Temple. I've actually never been there.
Not a bad idea.
Will nods. It's like a depository of knowledge.
Yeah, largest library in the world. Temple and well, that's what I've been told. To the
Will's
lake.
newest thing is to find that like. Yeah, I think that's definitely the better way to go, as to not get lost in the desert and have to fight the things that live in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
If we follow the road,
yes.
we might. If you're concerned about people tracking us and speaking of us, perhaps we could reduce the concern by not staying in the towns themselves. Step off the road, camp at night.
Also, the pirates, and Will points at Alveron, mainly to see how Alveron responds to somebody other than Cala calling them pirates. They're looking for a duelist and a wizard. We could rent a carriage, and we could have 2 guards and a tracker and a noble family for all they know.
When you use the term pirates, Alveron doesn't twitch, doesn't really react, kind of more a shrug so casual it has to be practiced. Like, yeah, we could use that word for them.
Will files that away. But yeah, we could be duplicitous.
Ella will check a little bit. Alveron, you ever been married?
Not on land.
Well,
Ah,
it'll be a first for both of us then.
Will has a sharp pang of like memory of the night before, and it's like, Will cast sending to her ex, and says,
On purpose this time.
"If you are hearing this message, Willow Aria Ballas has died." End message. I will roll deception if I have to.
Yeah, roll deception. I have to. I'm
Also,
not sure how they would
I
respond.
step away
I
from the
have to think
party
about it.
to I step away from the party to cast this.
I thought it was going to be we've been trying to reach you about your extended car
Your extended
warranty.
car warranty. 18.
Would you
All
like
right.
to have life insurance?
His life insurance policy has run out. Eligible to claim it at the nearest court.
Is there like a time limit on sending? Hold on.
I don't know. You'd think I can click it.
I think
right?
there must
And
be.
output it.
Being-
Output it for the stream.
Can answer in like manner immediately. So I'm gonna say if they don't say anything for like
Yeah.
for like they don't start speaking at least for a little bit, it will. So I don't think you don't get a response. Maybe just like a like
Oh God!
like just that actually. It's just
What?
what? And then it's like nothing else.
Excellent. That Will considers that to be resolved, and
That's not gonna come back
kind of-
later on.
kind of steps back and is like, she's like rubbing her temple and is like, this is to herself, this is the version of me that I was trying to no longer be, and then I was impulsive,
man.
and then I was impulsive again, and now things are terrible. And she like starts to have a vague panic attack about the awfulness of being Will.
How far did she step away from the party, and how did she step away from the party
I
after this
think,
whole thing had happened?
She stepped away within the space of 6 seconds, and basically didn't want Cala to hear that she was sending that. But you could theoretically avert it.
I was gonna say maybe this might have happened while that you guys were kind of talking. This Kala will get the carriage. She'll rent the carriage or hire a driver or whatever. So probably when that was happening.
Got it.
I feel like.
Also,
if
Will
you
hasn't
want
said
to,
her
I feel
own
like
name out loud for like
you
over a decade.
do a perception check if you really want to.
And Uba do one too, because I have a feeling they'd be like, I don't know,
I-
just very
Yeah,
hyper
I think
aware
that
of
would
what
make
everyone's doing.
Will's certainly in her own head and not like that focused on who's around, as long as
Yeah.
it's not Cala.
Okay, I'm gonna try a perception.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Uba, you, the two of you, Uba and Sulveran, definitely. You're maybe not listening at first, but then you like pick up on the tail end of the conversation. You're like, "What? That's a weird thing to do." Medea, you're looking at the horses or something. I don't know. Maybe talking with Cala about something.
Yeah.
I feel like Uba and Sulveran have this like theme of like turning up in at the edge of a scene, or walking somewhere and just both like meerkatting it, really like suddenly paying attention to things. This is not the first time we've rolled within a couple of each other.
Yeah,
They
pretty
both
nosy.
They both walked in the second after Will said her full name and just heard the end has died.
The real like 3PO R2 moment between the two of them. Like, I'm not sure we needed to be here for that, but we were a part of this.
I always imagine Uba is like in between.
Sarah's cutting out a little bit.
Like I always imagine you have like Sulveran crap, like in between Sulveran. You have like Uba's face right there.
Right.
Sulveran's not like stealthy about his walking over or listening. He's just constantly like there.
What's disadvantage? Is it alt?
Control?
Control.
Control.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will doesn't notice that you were there.
Right, the other one was a crit. Yeah, so you guys finish hiring the carriage and begin to take off. I think that's where we're gonna end for today.
Okay.
Drive the
Onward
carriage.
to the next
but
one.
Right.
Since apparently I wasn't like part of the duplicity of being a noble, which was hurtful. But Will can probably drive a carriage.
All right. So
Yeah, I like how Cala swept in on that marriage scheme real quick.
hey, I'm not gonna say that I'm playing that up for these two characters, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. As always, I saw the Ren was in the chat as per usual. I will name shout
it's much
them.
easier. It's a lot easier during lockdown when work isn't happening.
But yeah, thanks for coming. As always, we stream on Tuesdays if you're watching this on YouTube. And I never say this, but follow, subscribe, like, do the things. Yeah, have a good one.